What up, peeps? Energy here, and today's energy broadcasting system is about our ego. Letting go of our ego. That's a big one. It's something that I'm working on currently, and I felt I didn't have a lot of ego. I'm not a very big ego person, but ego isn't always what we imagine in our minds, and I'm always talking about, let go of the expectations or the notions of how things are supposed to be and just be. Ego's the same way. We think it looks a certain way, and ego presents itself in all aspects of our lives, in loving moments, in work moments, friendship moments, making decisions. Like even when we want to be vulnerable, it's hard for us to be vulnerable because our ego kind of steps in, allowing ourselves to surrender. A lot of things that yoga is definitely enlightening me about, and it's exciting, the path that I'm on, and I like to talk about this because I might be able to enlighten somebody else in this journey of enlightenment and evolution, to understand the notion of surrender. That's a beautiful word. Beginner's mind, another beautiful word. And tools for our toolbox. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I think this kind of ties everything together. There's an old man, he's in a house, and there's a flood coming. A cop comes to the house, knocks on his door, and says, "Yo, there's a flood coming. This is evacuation zone. You gotta come with me." And the old man says, No, I'm not going with you because God's gonna save me. I don't need you." Boom, closes the door. A few hours go by. Now a boat is coming by. Blow horn. If there's anybody in these houses, you gotta get out. That's flooded. The waters are gonna continue to rise. The old man stays inside the house and he's thinking, "I don't need that boat. God's gonna save me." Now the waters are continuing to rise. This guy's got it. The old man ends up on the roof. He's holding onto his chimney. Now a helicopter comes by. They drop a line down to him, a ladder, and they say, "Sir, get on." He's like, No, God's gonna save me." Next thing he knows, the old man, he's standing in the pearly gates of heaven. And he said, "God, I was sure you were gonna save me. What happened? You didn't save me." And God goes, I sent you a car, a boat, and a helicopter." And what happened? His ego stepped in. That old man's ego stepped in. The notion with the expectation of what he expected, how that was going to look like. How his God was going to save him. He had the image in his mind. He had already planted that story in his mind without allowing the moment to unfold the way it should unfold, and him taking the opportunities he can take. And how many aspects in our personal lives do we do things that, because we have an expectation or notion of how we think it's going to look like, and we're saying no, or rejecting, or not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable because our ego, that's all part of ego. And we have to surrender that. Let go. Present yourself in every situation without your ego. Just arrive as is, without the expectation of how it's going to look like. What happens the older we get, when I say child's mind, beginner's mind, actually child's mind is the best way to say it, because a child walks into any situation and they don't have an expectation. They allow themselves to be and just flow. And we, as adults, we want to take a shortcut because it takes a lot of energy and time to absorb the room as is, not to worry about what does that person think how I look like, what do I think about that, what are they thinking about me, or is it, how's this going to look like, how's that going to taste like, how's that going to feel like. That holds us back from experiencing a moment with all these things that are popping up, like these little bling, 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 like when you open up your laptop and all these freaking advertisements are popping up on your screen. Same shit in your head happens. And a child walks in and wants to experience everything, looks around, is curious. We lose that as adults because we want to take a shortcut and we're going to refer back to something in our past that we can apply to this and say, okay, so that we are in autopilot. I tell people all the time, walk to work, take a different route to work. Make your brain work in a way that it hasn't worked. We go into autopilot. We take the same path every day. We want to do the same routine every day. These boxes that we create, that we're doing the same thing, mundane, that you can pretty much do it, and you don't even need to be conscious because your body just is on autopilot. Change it. Like I walk to work and everything looks so different. I notice things I would never notice in the route that I drive every single day. Change the route you drive. Change what you're watching on TV, or don't watch so much TV and go outside more. Change it up. The brain needs it. We need it as adults to create new passageways in our brains, because we really work very hard to get into an autopilot mode, and you've got to continue trying to stimulate yourself, challenge yourself, do things that are different. You know, I had the opportunity to take Heather to do her first 50K in Wisconsin. Mama Hughesby and her mom Susie were our handlers. You know, and it was something completely outside of her box, but as well as for Mama Hughesby and for Susie, you know, to kind of handle us, leave where the routine is every day. I mean, none of us had ever been there, but we all went in and we kind of talked about approaching this trip with beginner's mind, and it was one of the best trips I've ever had, simply because we were really experiencing and indulging in every experience that we were having together. I wasn't worried about this place. If the studio was running, wasn't running, I know that I trust the staff that I have here wholeheartedly, so I didn't have to think that. Just checked on Amanda and Luna, and the rest was me being 100% present. They were too, and it was a beautiful experience. And I'm going to attribute that to being present and not allowing myself to drift in a past place or into a forward place, but rather being there, experiencing there, because no matter what happened in the past, I can't change, and no matter what possibly can happen in the future, I cannot change. What that does is instead is ruin the moment I'm in and not allow me to truly experience it. So letting go of the ego, beginner's mind, child's mind, approach everything. Even I've talked about it in previous broadcasts, the importance of even when you go eat, go without asking a million questions of anybody what you think. Just show up and experience it, because it might be amazing, and you create a story in your head before you walk in, you've ruined it. That applies to relationships, to even hanging out with your friends, spending time with your children, and just experiencing them for that moment without the notion of anything, just being present. Emergy out.